Hey, I'm Taylor Morris, and I'd like to thank you for watching, and I just made this video so that parents of autistic people or friends of autistic people could know a little more about the life of an autistic person, or a person with Asperger Syndrome. It was akin to being trapped, because most of the skills that people know naturally, I had to be taught. The natural social skills, the natural communication is not natural for a person like me. It has to all be taught. So back then, when I hadn't been taught those skills, it was like being trapped. You couldn't communicate, or I couldn't communicate. I couldn't express myself in any way because I hadn't been taught how. I did not understand the connection that communication gives you. My clearest memory was once when I was actually at a therapy session. I don't remember that, but I remember when I was in there, there was a swing. I enjoyed it so much. It was like amazing for me. It was the coolest thing a 2-year-old could ever do. Be on this swing that swings in all 4 directions, and it's awesome. And I remember they stopped me, the therapist, and the therapist tried to get me to ask for more, to use the sign language more to communicate, to try to get me to communicate, because they could tell I loved being on there, so they were trying to use that as a tool to get me to communicate. Now back then I didn't quite realize this. All I really remember is thinking, wow, this is fun. Oh wait, now they've stopped me. They want something from me. I can't give it to them. I can't do it. I'd say I'm different from most people just in the sense that I have my own world. Like most autistic people, you have that own world that you go to, which most people don't have any concept of. I learn a bit differently than most people in the sense that an explanation that may seem perfectly clear to most people could be extremely confusing to me. The social disconnect. It's a pain, to say the least. I have my friends. I love them very much. They love me very much. But with most people, they can tell there's something different, and I think that almost repels them. And it also repels me from them because I'm the only person I live as. I'm normal to myself. So it's everybody else who seems weird. I have some tactile sensitivities, particularly with fleece. And that's just something I have to deal with every day. I can wear fleece, but I can't touch it on my palms. I don't know why, but my brain just does not let me. It hurts. And so a lot of times what I'll do to work with that is I'll pick it up by either like my fingers, or not my thumbs because they're sensitive too, but like this, just read the tag and see if it's fleece, and then I know, okay, I can't touch this with my hands. So there's things like that you have to work with, but I would say not debilitating, but definitely different. I definitely have issues with sounds as well, particularly 2 things. Sudden sounds. Sudden things. I don't know what it is, but I find in general, autistic people don't get along with things that are sudden, particularly sounds. Any sort of alarm that I don't expect scares me. It actually hurts my ears because they're not ready for it. They didn't know about it. And the other thing is associations. Once when I was a little kid, there was a game called Oregon Trail. And it was about going from the East Coast to the West Coast. And of course, a lot of people died during this journey. So every time a person would die in this game, you would have sad violin music. And the music, it was soft music, but every time that it happened to me, it literally scared me. I would get so freaked out, and it hurt my ears. Even though the sound itself was fine. It was just a violin, but for me, because of the emotions associated with it, I couldn't bear it. My world, the great disconnect. I think most autistic people access their worlds through their repetitive actions. People wonder why they do this. And it's to get in our own world. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but clearly for myself, that's true. And my way is I tried putting my repetitive habit into something that was normal, something that didn't look weird, because I have an awareness that was taught, and so I put it into the form of walking. And there's nothing wrong with walking, so I just walk, and walk a lot actually. I sometimes pace in my house for up to 3 miles a day, just back and forth through my house. And doing this repetitive action, lets me turn my physical mind off and my autistic mind on. And I can disconnect from this world and enter my own world. It's different from the disconnect the quote-unquote disconnect you feel when running, because I think if you ask any runner, you feel a special sense of self, a sense of independence when you run, feel powerful, and you get to know yourself better. But it's not the same as the autistic disconnect, because you're still operating within this world. The autistic disconnect is out of this world. It's your own world that you enter. I'd say the greatest thing for you guys as parents to do is try finding new ways of communicating with them. If something's not working, chances are if you don't take a different approach to it, it's not going to work. You know, it's not an age thing. It's working with their minds to give them the skills so that they can communicate in what's called a normal way. I think the best thing to know is that your child, even if they don't behave, even if they're not being the way you want them to be, realize that they're not trying to be a pain most of the time, I'd say. Realize that they're desperate. They can't communicate. You know, they feel trapped. I think autistic people in some areas are even more successful than most people. They have special talents. You know, we can be productive citizens if you get the early treatment. If it's caused by a problem in their diet, you know, change their diet very early. The worst thing a parent can do is, when they're young and not sure if a child's autistic, deny that they might be autistic. I realize I'm not the norm. I realize that there are many, many cases that seem hopeless. And I'd just like to say, there is hope. I know how hopeless my mom must have been feeling when I was younger, when I wasn't talking, when I was throwing the fits, when I didn't look people in the eye. And I think that, you know, hold some hope. Try new ways. Once you get that one area of them working, one area of communication, I believe it's a domino effect. You know, you open the doors of communication for them and provide them some hope that they will continue to try to get connected with this world and ultimately be much more successful. So I just say, pretty much, there's hope. Don't ever lose hope. What do I like about my life? I love being able to say that I'm a successful person and I'm not a normal one. I love being just a little bit different. I love that I can go through life and do the things that most people do, yet have almost a different twist on it. It's actually a lot of fun. There's the pain, there's people not understanding, people offending you, you accidentally offending people, but in the long run, it's a lot of fun to be different.